It's 7 o'clock. I call to order the City Council meeting for December 8th, 2021. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Campbell. Councilwoman Gadara.
Here.
Councilwoman Wilson.
Here.
Councilwoman Julian.
Here.
Councilman Stevens.
Here.
Vice Mayor Leon.
Here.
Mayor Harris.
I'm present.
You have a quorum.
All right, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and an invocation.
God our Father, we thank you for your grace and mercy towards us. We thank you for your unconditional love and your many blessings. Father, we ask that you continue to bless this city that we call Miami Gardens and everyone that has a special place in this city. Father, we ask that you bless the leadership, its residents, the stakeholders, and God, help us to continue to move forward. Give us your knowledge, your wisdom, and your understanding. And Father, we promise that we will give you all the praise, honor, and glory that your precious name deserves. It is in your Son's name I do pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Mr. Clerk, we're on approval of minutes.
Mr. Mayor and Council, I'm withdrawing the minutes from the agenda.
You withdrawing them?
Yeah. I'll bring them back in January.
All right. You need a motion on that?
No.
All right. On order of business, are there any things that need to be added, deleted, pulled?
Yes. 11.4 and 11.5. I have some questions.
We have an add-on item that need to be added.
Yes, we do. We have add-on item number 1 with the it is an ordinance on for first reading. We ask that it be added on as 8.2 to the agenda.
Sure, it added. Anything else? No? I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Showing none, show it passes. All right, we're on special presentation. Mr. Stevens?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I don't see, they're gonna bring them in. All right. Good evening once again, everyone. On the evening of Wednesday, November 10th, 2021, Ms. Nicole Betterson showed tremendous selflessness in rendering emergency aid to a fellow citizen who had been injured in a traffic shooting. Accompanied by her sister Florence, who was driving during the incident, and her sister's best friend Tabitha, who was also present, they both also showed great bravery by immediately on ongoing traffic and calling emergency services to the scene, while Ms. Betterson aided the individual in distress. These 3 individuals also remained on the scene until EMT and police personnel arrived. On behalf of the City of Miami Gardens, our Mayor Rodney Harris, and the council members, we would like to, and the gentleman life who was saved, thank you for demonstrating what it means to be upstanding citizens within our community. And I would like to especially recognize Ms. Batterson with this plaque for rendering the aid that potentially saved this gentleman's life. Mayor, my colleagues, I would like if you would join me to present this plaque of appreciation and ask our police chief to join in the picture as well. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. All right. Mr. Clerk, we're on public comments now.
Yes, I believe we do have some people in the lobby here for public comments that are pre-registered, and I have some written communications.
And I have a few myself, so I'm gonna start with these cards that I have here. Audrey Ward. Ms. Ward, you can come up to the podium and please state your name and address for the record, please.
Okay, my name is Audrey Ward. My address is 3351 Northwest 189th Street. And I'm here today to talk about some major, a few major activities in the street. I've been living there for about 40 years, and at this present time, because of the business, neighborhood, there's a lot of traffic. In addition, we have 5 schools.
Could you talk into the mic?
It's not on.
It's not on? Eugene, could you check that mic to see? All right, Ms. Ward, could you please start over again and give me your name and address for the record, please?
Okay, my name is Audrey Ward. I live at 3351 Northwest 189th Street. Been living there for about 40 years or more. I'm here to talk about a few major problems with the traffic on that street. In fact, the street has encountered more additions, like we have 5 schools that are in the area. We have 1 preschool, and we have a daycare. Also coming along that street, we have the trolley car, along with the other regular services. We have 18-wheelers coming down the street. We have motorcycles. Most of the time they're racing. The speed has to be, I estimate, it's my estimation, between 45 and 85 miles an hour. Okay, and they're flying. We've had a couple of accidents. Cars have hit, and over the years we have had accidents, but just recently we had a few accidents where the light pole has been knocked down, you know. Also from a new building we have there, apartment building, they raced out and hit the lady's fence right in the front, even though they have speed bumps in there. If the tree wasn't there, they probably went straight into her home. We also have there 2, apartment complexes, which I call, one is the senior area and one is the new apartment building they built there. Okay, there's another part of the street down further where the road is so narrow. actually two cars going opposite directions cannot pass each other. The residents leave the gates open, so therefore people have to walk in the street. Okay, I've complained to the city over a period of time, over the years since 2014. Okay, I've had emails and everything like that. And once I believe the police put a digital sign only for a few hours. Another thing is when the game is over at the stadium, okay, they will reroute the traffic at the metro buses, everything comes down that street. Okay, so. And unfortunately, one little boy was killed on that street by a racing car. So it doesn't make any sense that they have not widened the road, have not done anything to that street. It's too much traffic. I also have some letters from the citizens. So if the council could come up with some safe solution, okay? Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Ms. Gail Cunningham?
Good evening. I am Gail Olivia Cunningham, and my address is 19001 Northwest 14th Avenue Road, Miami Gardens, Florida, 33169. Process. A series of actions or steps to achieve a particular end. Some residents in the city are aware of the process towards the renovation of the Myrtle Grove Park. Some residents are aware, some are not. Thorough research and inquisitions led to a greater awareness of the process and the right to inclusiveness of the residents, your constituents. It led to a communication, virtual emails, texts, phone calls, face-to-face at a late date after plans were and are still in place to move forward, but delayed again due to inaction of some statements reference the next steps made by the community's representative to the council. When compared to the renovation progress being made at numerous parks in our city, why isn't Myrtle Grove's plan of action active? Voices of and the physical presence of the community want to know how long before the blueprint goes live. It is ready. The proposed renovations are acceptable to the community. They are inclusive of the multi-purpose building, not a pool. No pool, multi-purpose building. Please, the voices are speaking and will know they are heard with the immediacy of completing the stages already planned in order to move forward without changes or delay. The community wants to move forward and complete the steps necessary for groundbreaking and renovations at Myrtle Grove Park in present time, not more delayed time. The time is now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cunningham. Gwendolyn Davis?
Gwendolyn Davis, 3375 Northwest 180 Street. I'm property owner, 40+ years. Myrtle Grove Park renovations. Good evening to each one of you in your respective places. I send emails to you, and I thank you for those who did acknowledge them. As you know, beautiful, safe parks enhance our neighborhoods and provide avenues conducive to happy and healthy social living. Council, it's time to get going with Myrtle Grove Park renovations, as previously presented to our community months ago. No pool is needed. I'm one of the many seniors, soon to be golden, who yearn to be able to walk a secure trail or attend the gym with grands, neighbors, and friends at a park that's close to my home. So please, I urge you, please proceed with groundbreaking plans no later than at least the first quarter of 2022. Thank you for this opportunity. Merry Christmas and happy Myrtle Grove, Myrtle Park New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe that Frank Connor, Ms. Connor?
My name is Juanita Connor, and I live at 3031 Northwest 183rd Street. And I'm concerned about the Myrtle Grove Park. My daughter, she cannot go to Brentwood Park, and I want the plans to be in place. She's 16 years old, and I'm afraid for her to go to the park. So once you do the renovations, I feel it's gonna be a safe place for her. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Ms. Hughes?
Good evening, public servants. Ree Hughes, 3335 Northwest 180th Street, Miami Gardens, Florida, 33056. Being a public servant comes at a cost if you're committed to doing the right thing. Councilwoman Wilson, during the town hall meeting at Bunch Park on December 1st, you stated, someone asked you, what does Black excellence look like to you? And you responded, it looks like expectations. You went further to say, the only way we can be better is through our expectations, and we must communicate to you what our expectations are and give you an opportunity to then deliver. I quoted your statements to remind you, we, your constituents within the city of Miami Gardens, Myrtle Grove community, seat 4 of which you represent, have been communicating with you at Meet Me Monday meetings, virtual and in person, sending emails. And it's at the point now, when I attend bond oversight committee meetings, they're probably saying underneath their breath, that's that lady from Myrtle Grove again. We've been expecting and waiting patiently for renovations at Myrtle Grove Park. This project is long overdue. Plans have been set, bond money set aside, and the community excited for this new state-of-the-art gymnasium change for the city to enjoy. Please don't give us expectations with hesitations. Let's begin the groundbreaking ceremony and move forward for a great change to Myrtle Grove Park, my neighborhood, my community, in the great city of Miami Gardens. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. Harold Don Scott. Mr. Scott, I understand. Is this for a zoning change? Are you here for
It's a zoning change.
Okay, that's open for public comments, correct?
Once the item is called, we open
Yeah.
the floor for public comments at that time.
Okay, we'll call you back in when that item is coming up.
Which item is this, sir?
I think it's, you reside at 2051 Northwest 179th Street?
Yes.
Okay, so I think that's, yeah, that's the zoning change for 20th Avenue or?
No, the zoning change is for a piece of property that's near my house. And it's, they want to change it from R1 to R22.
That's 13.1, Mayor.
13.1? Okay, when we get ready to call that one, we'll bring you back in.
Okay.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Mayor, we do have written communications. The first written communications from Leroy Weatherspoon, address 20725 Northwest 9th Court, Unit 104, Miami Gardens, Florida, 33169. Good evening. I'm a resident of Miami Garden who is concerned about the Myrtle Grove Park. Why isn't it under construction? Councilwoman Wilson. The plans are in place and ready to move to the next stage. The community is ready to see groundbreaking. Why aren't you making it move? Everything is in place. Make it move to the next step, Councilwoman Wilson. We want the gymnasium. No pool, no pool, Councilwoman Wilson. We want the gymnasium, no pool. We want our city's Myrtle Grove Park renovation to start now. Thank you. The next public comment comes from Zachary Lett, address 3335 Northwest 180th Street, Miami, Florida, 33056. Greetings. As a Myrtle Grove resident born and raised and still living in this community, I would like to see a gymnasium for our Myrtle Grove Park, not just for inside sports, something that is different look for our park and can benefit the youth in this community. When I say benefit, I'm talking about a place for the youth to go versus hanging around in the streets, learning things that aren't taught in schools or at home. Little kids, 12 and under, can learn arts and crafts and most important, learn how to interact with other kids. Teenagers can learn how important it is to volunteer for certain things, finance class, and etc. It's always been said it takes a village to raise a child. This gymnasium can be that way. And that's all that we have for written communications.
Right. There's no other public comments?
No, sir.
Showing that there's no more public comments are closed.
All right, we're now on to ordinances for first reading. Item 8.1, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, amending Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinances entitled Purchasing to create Article 9, Division 7, entitled Public-Private Partnerships, providing for adoption of conflict, providing for severability clause, providing for inclusion in code, providing for an effective date, and is sponsored by city manager and city attorney.
Mr. Manager?
Zachary will be the
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. So this amendment to our code of ordinance creates a public-private partnership. It's in line with it's in line with 255.065 of the Florida statutes. With that statute, the state legislature found that there was a need for upgrade and construction of facilities owned by state governments, local governments, and that public-private partnerships could actually meet those needs. So they created this statute, and then we created the ordinance in alignment with this statute. This ordinance pretty much allows us to receive unsolicited proposals from private entities for the construction of qualifying projects. And the ordinance defines a qualifying project, but in short, a qualifying project is just a project or facility that's owned by us, the city, and then that is used or will be used by our residents or the public at large. One thing that is actually interesting about this ordinance is that it allows us as a city to require certain things from a public entity when they are submitting an unsolicited proposal. It gives us very broad things that we may require. It's not explicitly given within the statute, but because we are allowed to require certain things, this particular ordinance allows us to request information from a private entity, that information being how us entering into an agreement with them, a comprehensive agreement with them, how it will benefit our small businesses, how those businesses will participate in the construction and things of that nature. We've also included a provision where these private entities have to provide some sort of information for the BREP program. And so that's all been included. So that's just what this ordinance is about.
Right. Thank you, Zach. I need a motion on the item. Motion. Been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the dais? Showing none, Mr. Clerk, you want to call the roll?
Councilwoman Campbell?
Yes.
Councilwoman Megadaro?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Leon?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Julian?
Yes.
Councilman Stevens?
Yes.
Mayor Harris?
I vote yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Now we're on to item 8.2. In order to the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, declaring zoning in progress and imposing a citywide moratorium on the submission, processing, and issuance of all zoning applications and/or permits for vehicle fueling stations and sales as a permitted use or accessory use, including variances, special exemptions, zoning district changes, minimum square footage requirement changes, modification or elimination of condition, restrictions or limitation for a 180-day period, providing for exemptions, providing for a study and direction to the city manager, providing for penalties, providing for adoption of representation, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing a severability clause, providing for an inclusion code, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city attorney.
Madam Attorney.
Yes, Mayor and Council, as you are aware, the manager issued an administrative moratorium as it relates to gas stations in the city. By doing that, that means the city will not accept any new applications for gas stations. This ordinance just pretty much codifies that administrative moratorium because ultimately the city council has to enact the moratorium. What it will allow us to do is to study the issue, to determine where, if at all in the city, we should allow additional gas stations and how that process will work. So within the 6-month period, we will bring back some proposals to you, or maybe not, or it doesn't require you to make a change, but what this allows us to do is to study the issue going forward. So this is first reading of that ordinance.
Need a motion on this item.
Motion. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the dais?
Yes, I have a question, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Madam Attorney, question for you. I know there's a date stamp to this ordinance. What happens after that date runs out? Do we have to put another one in place, or how is it possible to remove the date stamp? What would we do?
So, yes, so if in fact we don't have recommendations for you within the 6-month period, we can always extend the moratorium. Or we can, if we come up with regulations within the 6-month period, we can do that, enact those, and we can end the moratorium. But those are all options available.
Gotcha. Okay. And you and the city manager will come back before us after?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions or comments from the dais? Showing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Godaro,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Leon,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wilson, Councilwoman Julian,
Yes.
Councilman Stevens,
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell,
Yes.
Mayor Harris.
I vote yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 9.1, ordinances off for second reading and public hearing. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, amending Chapter 30, Floods, Article 1, General, Article 2, Administration, Article 3, Flood Hazard Reduction, and Article 4, Variances and Appeals of the Code of Ordinances. Repealing all ordinances in conflict, provide severability clause, provide for inclusion in code, provide an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. This is a public hearing, Mayor.
Public comments on this item?
We've received no written communication, nor do we have any pre-registered public comments for this item.
Showing no public comments are closed. Mr. Manager,
Mayor, there are no changes since first reading. Thank you.
need a motion on this item?
Motion. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is this a voice vote as well?
It's a roll call.
Roll call?
Vice Mayor Leon,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Julian,
Yes.
Councilman Stevens,
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Godaro,
Yes.
Mayor Harris.
I vote yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 9.2, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, establishing an emergency management ordinance for the City of Miami Gardens, providing for adoption representation, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing severability clause, providing for inclusion in code, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager and city attorney.
Public comments on this item?
We have no pre-registered public comments, nor do we have any written communications.
Showing no public comments is closed. Mr. Manager,
No changes from first reading.
need a motion on the item?
Motion. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments from the dais? Showing none.
All right, Councilwoman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Julian,
Yes.
Councilman Stevens,
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Godaro,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Leon,
Yes.
Mayor Harris.
I vote yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 9.3, an ordinance of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, relating to elections, calling the 2022 general election for council seat 2, 4, and 6. Providing for runoff election if necessary, providing for qualification of candidates, providing for close of election books, approving the official ballot form, providing for notification, providing for adoption representation, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing severability clause, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city clerk, and this is a public hearing.
Public comment on this item?
There are no pre-registered public comments or any written communications on this item, sir.
Showing none, public comments are closed.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Clerk.
there are no changes to this item from first reading. However, because it may come in the future, I did provide council with a notice regarding redistricting. At some point in January, I may come back with another memo proposing a workshop to discuss how we move forward. The reason why I'm bringing this up as part of this item, as you guys all know, our boundaries are set by charter. Therefore, if we were to change the boundaries, we would have to have a special election for that. I've been in communication with the supervisor of elections, and I told her if we were to change the boundaries, That would probably be a ballot question. That would be part of this election if we did choose to do that. So in the future, if we did do that, I would have to bring another item to you guys, calling for a special election for that. I just wanted to briefly brief you guys on that matter.
Any questions or concerns from the,
Yes.
I need a motion on this item first.
Motion. Second.
Moved and seconded. Question, go.
Yes, Mr. Clerk, two questions. The first one is, why is there a maybe?
Because there has to be a decision made by council. So we have to look at a couple things. That's why we have to have a workshop. Once we have a workshop and decide which route we go, because we may need to bring in a consultant and to look at our census numbers, because we have tracts within the city that are outside the city's boundaries. My office is unable to give an accurate amount as to what the populations are in those tracts as it relates to the city and to the district. Therefore, we'll need to bring a specialist in to look at that data to help us come up with a decision on how the redistricting will take place.
And according to the information that we have now in our city charter, are we obligated to redistrict?
There's nothing in the city's charter, nor in Miami-Dade County's home rule charter, nor in the state statute that obligates the city to redistrict.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Any other questions? Showing none. Mr. Clerk?
Councilwoman Julian,
Yes.
Councilman Stevens,
Yes?
Councilwoman Campbell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Iguodaro,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Leon,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wilson,
Yes.
Mayor Harris.
I vote yes.
Motion passes 7-0. We're now on to the consent agenda. Item 11.1, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorizing the use of the city's name and logo for the use of raising funds that will specifically support the city's foster care children and most vulnerable residents, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Mayor Rodney Harris. Item 11.2, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorizing the use of the City of Miami Gardens stage showmobile and a waiver of all costs associated with the use of the Parkway Baptist Church for the Parkway Baptist Church retirement service for their school director, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Mayor Rodney Harris. Item 11.3, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorizes the city manager and city clerk to execute and attest respectively that certain addendum to the service agreement with Yolanda Cash Jackson of Becker and Polikoff, PA, attached here to as Exhibit A, providing for instructions to the city clerk, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Mayor Rodney Harris. Item 11.6, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, awarding a contract for refuse collection and recycling service to Greater Waste Recycling LLC in response to RFP number 20-21-015, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract for this purpose, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.7, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorizing the city manager to issue purchase order to Safeware Inc. for the purchase of the Strax Response Platform in an amount not to exceed $360,000 for a 3-year term by waiving the procurement code pursuant to Section 2-757, providing for the adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.8, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorizing city manager to issue purchase orders to Safeware Inc. for the purchase of the Milestone Video Management Solution Platform in an amount not to exceed $49,904.33 annually and $149,952.99 for a total of 3 years by relying on Portland Safeware contract number 159469, a copy of which is attached here too as Exhibit A, provided for adoption representation, provided for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.9, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorizing a third renewal of award invitation to bid, ITB number 16-17-029, for parks, lighting, and electrical maintenance to Imperial Electrical, Inc. as a primary vendor and electrical contracting service as the secondary vendor. Authorize the city manager to issue purchase order not to exceed the budgeted amount allocated to various departments, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.10, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorizes the city manager to issue purchase order to Tyler Technologies, Inc. for the maintenance, support, and license of the Eden software package in an amount not to exceed $160,448.59 by relying upon quote number 045-148115, waiving the bid and quotation procurement pursuant to Section 2-757 subsection B, subsection 1 of the procurement code, providing for adoption of representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager, and that is your consent agenda.
Need a motion on the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Showing none, consent agenda passes.
All right, we're now on to item 11.4. A resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, establishing the Miami Gardens Internet for All initiatives, authorizing the city manager to take any and all steps necessary to implement the intent and purpose of this resolution, providing for adoption and representation, providing for an effective date, and it's sponsored by Councilman Robert Stevens III.
This was pulled by Councilwoman Campbell. Councilwoman Campbell?
Yes. If we look at the gap analysis, Councilman Robert Stevens, you, in your report, you stated that the gap analysis lists the no-cost and low-cost programs already available in the city of Miami Gardens, while quantifying the actual gaps in affordable internet access for Miami Gardens residents to include available data regarding the 2020 experience of students in Miami Gardens public schools. So my question to you is this just with the school system, or is it all residents? I need that clarity. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Councilwoman. This program would be beneficial to all residents. So the information that's currently, that was information paired from our public school system for the students who struggle without having internet access when when the federal government declared a global health pandemic. So this information came from, as far as the statistics that's here, it's for a portion from the school district, but the overall initiative would be beneficial to all of Miami Gardens residents.
Okay. My other question is, so the school board already did this, am I correct? Did they had something available for the students?
There was a temporary program in place.
Okay.
That they partner with, I believe, maybe Comcast or AT&T at the beginning of the pandemic to provide relief to families who didn't have internet. But that program, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not sure because I didn't look into if they still have that program going on, but I think that program has been suspended.
Okay. I'll just make one suggestion.
Sure.
That maybe you consider spearheading an ad hoc or something to look more into it, because I think the school board, do a little bit more research on it. That's just a suggestion.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
And that's my only question.
And Councilwoman, what this resolution is asking is for us, the council, to give the manager and his staff the opportunity to explore and see what's out there, to even determine if it's necessary for the city of Miami Gardens. So that's basically what they're asking, but that's a great suggestion to look into, and I appreciate it.
That's my only question.
Any other questions? Showing none, I need a motion on the item.
Motion. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Showing none, item passes.
All right, next item is item 11.5. A resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorizes the city manager to execute a contract with the Superlative Group to provide professional services for sponsorship, asset inventory, valuation, naming right, and sales not to exceed $60,000 annually, providing for adoption of representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager.
Okay. Okay, my question for this item is, the first one is, will the council receive a written or electronic copy of this valuation report once it's complete?
Yes.
Okay. And my second question or concern, this may be a concern. As I read the document, throughout the document, the word is changes. For example, in 16.3 and 16.4 in the contract, it says the city manager, and then in 16.4, it says the city. So it was kind of confusing. Can this be updated to be consistent throughout the contract? Because if the city is referring to the city manager, can it be consistent saying the city manager instead of going from the city manager to the city? Because when I think of the city, I'm thinking it's the dais up here, we have control of that. But then I see the city manager, so it was a little confusing to me. So can that be corrected or in the contract?
I'll work with the city attorney and make sure it's consistent throughout the agreement, not a problem.
Thank you. That's my only question.
Need a motion on the item? Motion. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Showing none, item passes.
All right, we're on to resolutions. Item 12.1, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, approving the 2022 legislative program for the city, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Mayor Rodney Harris.
Mayor Harris.
Okay, this resolution should have been done earlier. And all it is in preparation for our 2022 Florida legislative sessions. By them moving the dates, we weren't able to have this item brought before the council before we provided them with what our legislative priorities were. So now they've had our legislative priorities. We're bringing this here for a vote on this item. And if there's any questions or concerns that you guys might have, let me know now.
No questions? Vice Mayor? Need a motion on the item first.
Motion?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Go ahead, Councilman Stevens.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just have a question. Maybe this may be for our city manager. I want to know, as we turn our priorities over to the hands of our state representatives and our lobbyists, what role or how involved would we, the council members, be to actually see these priorities, potentially execute during the state, on the state level?
I know sometime throughout the year, Mr. Stevens, that the city manager's office would contact all of us and talk to us about what our legislative priorities are. Those legislative priorities are then compiled and is presented to our lobbyists. From there, the lobbyists go to Tallahassee and present our cases to the legislators there and senators and everybody up in Tallahassee to get them to fight for our priorities. Then it becomes my responsibility as the mayor. You guys have input, but it's my responsibility as the mayor to have contact with them and talk to either our state representatives or our senators in reference to what our priorities are. We will try to get everything that we ask for, but sometimes they may ask for our top 3 priorities. And if that's the case, then I'll make the decision as to what would be the top 3 priorities for the entire city.
I'm sorry, so you say there may be a place where, a time where they ask what's the top 3 priorities and you would select what would be the top 3 priorities?
Yes.
Okay. Would the lobbyists, and I'm new to this process, I haven't experienced this before, would the lobbyists throughout the legislative session provide us, the council, updates on what it looks like in Tallahassee? And the reason why I ask is because I have a problem with just turning it over and trusting for them to get it done. And we don't know what's happening in the Tallahassee session. And then after the session is over, they're looking at us and saying, well, it was a rough session. So I just want to know what role that we play and how we can aid you, the mayor, and our lobbyists and our representatives to get it done.
All types of relationships are, especially if we can get funding from Tallahassee, they'll be welcome. But as the figurehead for the city, it would be my responsibility to make the contact with our state representatives and our state senators and talk to them and talk to our lobbyists about it, and I bring that information back to our city manager's office, and they'll disseminate that information back down to you guys too.
Okay. Yeah, I would really appreciate.
But what I would say is that during the year, if there's before the time frame comes where any type of legislative priorities are provided from you guys, that we get them to the city manager's office in a timely fashion. So then when we do compile everything and we all in agreement that those are our priorities, and we may have a list of 30 or 40 priorities, and we present them, and I'll say this, when I went to Tallahassee in November, that was the case. We had a list of priorities, and then the senators and the representatives were asking me, what are the city's top priorities? What are the 3 top priorities out of the 10 or so priorities that we had? What would be our top priorities? So then we had to make a decision right then and there as to what would be our top 3 priorities. But my thing was to make sure that you try to get money for everything that's on that list. But if you can't, then what you can get, these are our top priorities that we're gonna fight for.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, I understand our process, and I think our process is good, you know, and I think our priorities are great. I'm in full support of all of our priorities. My only concern is once session began, the follow-up and the ongoing throughout the 90-day session, or if there's a special session. I just want to know, you know, at what the role that lobby is, or, you know, what they all play into actually.
Mr. Manager, we want to answer that.
Yes, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Councilman Stevens, what happens during the session is that we get updates on various legislation being reviewed, being looked at, and Ms. Nelson, Renita Nelson, the Assistant City Manager, she sends that information to the mayor and council members to give you an update on what's going on, and especially if there are certain bills that we have to follow that may have some impact on our city, whether it's negative or positive. And then also we follow those priorities throughout the session itself. So at some point in time during session, we'll have a better understanding or a better idea if those priorities we've identified are going to actually be funded or not funded. And also keep in mind, sometimes they are funded, and then there's the veto power of the governor toward the end of that session to make that decision as well. But that information is processed through our lobbyists to staff to the mayor, and then we send that information along to council to keep you in the loop.
Okay, I would really appreciate that if, you know, we can just stay in the loop.
Yeah.
But to that, I have no further questions. I just want to say, Mr. Mayor, that I think our priorities are great, and I'm in full support of them. And thank you all for putting this together.
Thank you all. Need a motion on item?
We have a motion.
We have a motion?
We just need a roll call.
I need a roll call.
Or voice vote, sorry.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Showing none, the item passes.
All right, we're now on to item 13, quasi judicial zoning hearing / Jennings disclosure.
Good evening. Good evening, and welcome to the. Can everybody hear me?
I think no. Microsoft.
Testing. There we go. Good evening, and welcome to the quasi judicial portion of the December 8, 2021 City Council meeting. For those persons that will or may be speaking on an item on the agenda or commenting on any item, please stand up and be sworn in by the city clerk. For the applicant, your item will be called to order by agenda number and by title of your request. When your item is called, please approach the microphone, and when addressed, please speak directly and clearly, stating your name and address for the record, and explain the reason for your request. Note that all exhibits presented to the mayor and the council will become part of the public record.
Raise your right hand. You swear and affirm that the testimony you provide this evening is true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Yes. All right. We're now on to item 13.1.1, An ordinance of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, approving the application submitted by Albert L. Waters on behalf of Monument of Faith, Inc. for the rezoning of the property generally located 500 feet south of the intersection of Northwest 20th Avenue and Northwest 183rd Street in Miami Gardens, Florida. More particularly described in Exhibit A, attached here to from single-family dwelling residential R1 in paren to R-25 multiple family dwelling unit R-25 in paren. Providing for adoption representation, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing severability clause, providing for inclusion code, providing for an effective date, and is sponsored by the city manager.
Mr. Manager?
Yeah, Mayor and council members, I believe the applicant has something to state on the record before we get started.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. For the record, my name is Albert Waters, E.L. Waters and Company LLC. We're representing the Monument of Faith Church. I have with me Bishop James Francis. I will be speaking. My address is 6625 Miami Lakes Drive, Suite 238, Miami Lakes, Florida. We are here tonight to request a deferral of this item to a date certain, which is January 26th, to allow us an opportunity to present what we're proposing for rezoning within the community. So we want to be able to have an opportunity to meet with the community to present to them what is being proposed. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Waters. All right, just asking for a deferral.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just wanted to remind you, we do have a public comment for this item as well.
Okay. We want to take the public comment on this issue now, or?
The applicant has asked for a deferral. It's appropriate for you to entertain the motion to defer.
Okay.
Motion.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor of the deferral signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
To clarify for the record, the time certain of the deferral is January 26, 2022 at 7 p.m.
January 26th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Mr. Scott,
Yeah.
could you come to the podium, please? What has happened, Mr. Scott, is the item has been deferred. The applicant wants to have the opportunity to come back to the community and speak to the community. So we're going to defer this item until January 26th. So you can have, I guess, your questions asked when they have a meeting in the community for this item.
Where was this meeting be held?
The meeting, they'll set up the meetings and everything, and everyone will have notice when the meeting will take place.
Who would be everyone? Because I never got a notice of this proposal. I saw it on the property that was in question, and I never got any other information.
How would they go about
He
it?
might not live in the radius, but Albert, can you please get his information so that he's aware of the community meetings? You can talk to that. Yeah, because if you're not in the radius, he's not gonna get
What
mail
is
notice.
the date now, January?
January 26th is when the item is going to be heard again.
7:30 again?
January 26th, 2020.
7:30 again?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir. The item be deferred.
All right. Item 13.1.2, in order to the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, approving the rezoning of that certain property located at the intersection of Northwest 37th Place and the Palmetto Expressway, Northwest 167th Street in Miami Gardens, Florida, more particularly described on Exhibit A, attached here to from single-family dwelling residential to planned corridor development, repealing all ordinances in conflict, providing severability clause, providing for inclusion in code, providing an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. And this is a public hearing.
Mr. Manager?
Yeah, yes, Mr. Mayor, quick question. Have they been sworn in? Okay, I just want to make sure that they are sworn in before.
Please rise up to the sworn in. Raise your right hand. Swear to affirm that the testimony you provide is true to the truth, right, to the best of your knowledge.
Thank you, Mayor. Council members, I'm going to turn it over to Nikisha Smith, Planning and Zoning Director, for the presentation. Thank you.
This item is for the property owner, St. Thomas University. This is a proposal for a rezoning from the property from R1, which is a single-family zoning district. The proposed is to PCD, Planned Corridor Development, which is a commercial zoning district. The property is located on the east side of the intersection of Northwest 37th Place and the Palmetto Expressway, 167th Street, near the address of 3700 Northwest 167th Street. The staff recommendation for this item is for approval. Here's a map showing the location of the subject property, which is comprised of 3 folios. Here you can see the neighborhood characteristics. Again, the property is directly off of the Palmetto Expressway exit ramp. It is a vacant lot. To the north of the site, you have the Walmart Neighborhood Market on the other side of the Palmetto. And on the same side as the property, you can see the characteristics of some of the commercial and warehouse uses. In summary, staff finds that the rezoning request is deemed to be generally consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of our comprehensive plan, and it satisfies the criteria for granting of the rezoning. Again, in summary, staff is recommending approval of the subject property from the R1 single-family dwelling residential to the PCD Planned Corridor Development Zoning District. We have the applicant here if you have any follow-up questions.
Need a motion on this item.
Motion.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions or concerns from the day?
I have a
Yes.
question.
Yes, Myron.
Mr. Mayor, is it okay that I poll the council for agenda disclosure?
Sure.
Councilman,
Before you get started, I'm sorry. If we spoke with them the last time the item was before us, do we have to disclose it again? Okay, thank you.
Councilman Stevens, have you had any ex parte communication on this item?
Yes.
And will your decision tonight be solely based on the evidence presented before you?
Yes.
Councilwoman Iguodaro, have you had any ex parte communication on this item?
No.
And will your decision tonight be, oh, never mind, you're good. Vice Mayor Leon, have you had any ex parte communication on this item?
No.
Councilwoman Wilson, have you had any ex parte communication on this item?
Yes.
And will your decision tonight be solely based on the evidence presented before you?
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell, have you had any ex parte communication on this item?
Yes.
And will your decision tonight be solely based on the evidence presented before you?
Yes.
Councilwoman Julian, have you had any ex parte communication on this item?
No.
Mayor Harris, have you had any ex
Yes.
parte? And will your decision be solely based on the evidence presented before you?
Yes.
All right. And just note for the record, we have no written communications or any pre-registered public comments for this item.
Show public comment closed. Questions or concerns from the day?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
So should this item, should the zoning get changed? What are your plans, or what are your clients' plans for the space?
Excuse me, Ms. Julian, who are you referring that question to?
To the applicants?
Okay, can you guys come up to the podium, please, and state your name and address for the record?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Al Childers, Associated Vice President, St. Thomas University. I'm here on behalf of the President, David Armstrong. He was unable to be here this evening. Yeah, my address is 16401 Northwest 37th Avenue, Miami Gardens, Florida, 33054. That information I'm not privy to. I was just asked to come here tonight to speak on this agenda item, which is a rezoning. As you heard from your staff, they're making recommendations for the rezoning. The university would love to keep this property, but unfortunately, it's geographically disadvantaged location in terms of further development of the campus, and the development is disjointed from the main university campus. So at this time, that's why we're asking for the rezoning. So all the parcels are zoned the same. And we're asking for approval tonight and to schedule it for a second and final hearing.
Mr. Mayor?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
All right, my first question is, was there a meeting held with the residents?
The university did not hold any meeting with the surrounding residents, no.
Did the applicant hold a meeting with the residents?
The applicant is the St. Thomas University, we did not.
Okay. All right, my second question is, did St. Thomas reach out to Miami Gardens prior to this coming before us today?
The president had reached out to the city manager, I believe, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I don't mean to interrupt the questioning, but I didn't talk to the president until after the first meeting was held. So I did not have any prior conversations with him before the presentation of the item the first time around. Thank you.
You what?
Thank you. Oh, my next question is, as I read the document, there's a part in there that reads, and I quote, "In order to facilitate commercial sale and development, all 7 parcels must be appropriately zoned for commercial use. Currently, only 4 of the 7 lots are appropriately zoned for PCD. So with that being said, can what you're proposing, a gas station, be developed on 4 of the 7 parcels?"
Councilwoman, I'll let staff answer that question.
Just for the
Madam
record,
Attorney.
can we be clear that they're not here tonight for a gas station? They're here
Yes,
for the
we're just-
rezoning.
Okay,
I just want to make sure we're clear. That may be what they anticipate doing.
Okay.
Whether that happens, we don't know, but right now, it's just a rezoning application.
thank you for clarifying, Madam Attorney.
No problem.
Thank you.
So can 4 of the 7 parcels be developed on as opposed to all 7?
Well, we wanted it to, because of, we just don't see a use for residential use right now for that property. And it would be advantageous to the university if they're all zoned one particular zoning.
So in other words, your answer is no. You don't want 4 of 7, you want all 7 to be developed. Is that
Well,
correct?
Well, right now, of the 7, 4 of the 7 lots are already zoned PCD.
And so you want to get the other 3, so you have
Yes,
a total
that's
7.
correct.
Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, okay. And my last and final question is, what are the favorable and unfavorable impacts if this is approved?
I'll let staff answer that one also. I'm sorry.
Say that again? I didn't.
I would let staff answer that question.
Okay.
I really don't know what impact it would have. We're just looking for it all to be zone one, PCD.
Okay. And you're the only staff that can answer that question? Did you say there's
I
staff?
would refer to your city staff. I would
Oh,
say.
okay, all right, thank you. I'm done, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I'm done.
You done?
Yes, sir.
I think there's a lot of questions that probably are going to be asked that probably need more answers than you may be able to present. So I'm gonna ask for a deferment on this. I'm gonna make a motion to defer this item.
Second.
And we'll defer it for a time certain to address some of these issues.
A second.
So it's been moved and seconded?
Mr. Mayor, excuse me.
Yes.
Sorry, for clarification on the motion, you said to a time certain. Do you want to make the time certain right now? Do you want me to call out some dates?
Call out, I guess it would be for the 26th of January, or if we have too many.
We can put it on for because we do have quite a few on January 12th.
Can we look at the first meeting in February?
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry. May I speak before that motion is voted on? I'll introduce myself.
Sure.
But just before so we can clarify the motion, either January 26th or this first meeting in February is February 9th.
February 9th.
February 9th?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr.
I will not be in attendance at the meeting, so if we could do, If you could consider January 26th, or even the second meeting in February, I'm sorry. Okay.
You guys okay with that, or the 26th? We'll do the 26th.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Prior to voting on that motion, I appreciate it. Again, my name is Hope Calhoun. I am a land development attorney. My business address is 14 Southeast 4th Street in Boca Raton, Florida. Just answering the question that was asked about the economic benefit of rezoning the parcel. I think in your backup, you have a zoning map which shows the parcels that are being requested by St. Thomas for rezoning. You'll notice on that zoning map that the 4 parcels that are being requested for rezoning are the only parcels within probably a 3 to 5 mile radius on this side of the roadway that don't have the PCD zoning designation. So you'll see in the application that was presented before you that this rezoning application does satisfy the rezoning criteria, and it's literally kind of filling in the hole in the middle of the donut so that these parcels that are asking to be rezoned or being applied for the rezoning can be consistent with everything that's around it. In terms of ultimate development, as your city attorney stated, that will be determined at a later time through an application presented eventually before this body. The application tonight, again, as is already stated by your city staff, is simply for the rezoning. And from a rezoning and land use perspective, I think that's why your staff is recommending approval, because this piece just currently is zoned residential and it's not consistent with anything in terms of zoning that's around it. So again, the application that's been presented is for the rezoning, and the criteria for the rezoning, have been satisfied. And again, that's why your staff, I think, is recommending approval. So I hope that answers the question about the economic benefit. I think the economic benefit you heard from the school is that this piece is disjointed from the university under its current zoning designation. They can't do anything with it. So they're asking that the rezoning application be approved on first reading. Thank you for letting me speak prior to you voting on that.
I do want to say something for the record, though.
We would ask that you would vote on this item tonight, if possible, in the affirmative.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
With all due respect, the economic benefit is not my concern. It's the quality of life for the families that live over in that area. And my other concern about this development is, how do we exit a highway and enter into another major thoroughfare without there being any idea or way that we can control the roads or have road improvements or people that are leaving church, the whole 9 yards. And so when we look at just saying that we're gonna rezone something and the land hasn't even been sold. And so when it is sold, then when they purchase it, what are they gonna put there? And so I think we have a responsibility to really, really examine this a little bit further. And we have a responsibility to ensure that the land use accommodates a lifestyle that gives people peace and that gives them safety, and that ensures that they have a quality of life that is not hampered by additional traffic, that is not hampered by a mixed use that does not serve their day-to-day interests. And so while I can appreciate what it is, I don't even think that the public has weighed in on this. When I looked at the sign, I think the sign had a prior date on it, and the residents were frankly not notified to a degree that I feel that they would feel that their voice would be heard in this matter. So I do think and would vote for deferment until we've had an opportunity to have additional conversation about this.
I agree.
Any other questions or concerns from the dais? There's a motion to defer to January 26th. All in favor? Or you need to go by?
We can do a voice vote.
Go ahead.
Councilwoman Julian,
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilman Stevens,
Yes.
Councilwoman Godaro,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Leon,
Yes.
Mayor Harris.
I vote yes.
Motion passes 7-0. There are no ordinances on for second reading and public hearing, no resolutions for public hearing. We're now on to the reports of the city manager, city attorney, and city clerk.
Mr. Mayor, I don't have much, but I do want to wish everyone a happy holiday and Merry Christmas, since we will not be meeting until the new year. So I'd like to pass that along to everyone. I also, at my last meeting, I gave an update regarding police hires. Nothing has changed as far as the hires are concerned, but we did hire 2 additional CSAs, and we have currently 8 scheduled cadets for the new class in January, starting in January 2022. So that's where we are with police information. With that, Mayor, that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Madam Attorney?
Likewise, I don't have a report, but I do want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Mr. Clerk?
Just a quick announcement. In speaking with the mayor earlier this week, looking at our COVID numbers, seeing that our lives has adapted to COVID-19, while we still try to stay safe and fight against that, we do plan on opening up the council chambers for the public for the first meeting in January. So we'll go ahead and move forward to normal business. However, we're going to still have everybody still follow CDC guidelines. We'll still be streaming the meetings, but we will open up the chambers for public participation, public access to the meeting physically. And that's all I have for my report. Happy holidays to everyone.
And there will be social distancing as far as seating.
Yes.
Mask wearing.
Mask wearing.
All right, thank
all that
you.
good stuff.
All that good stuff. Mr. Stevens?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me just give a shout out to Tom in his Christmas attire.
Stand up, Tom. Let's see what you. Stand up, Tom. Let us see.
I think Tom won. I think he won.
Yeah.
And it's lighting up and everything.
Yeah.
My report is as followed. On Thursday, December 16th, at 12:15 p.m. My office would be hosting a holiday senior citizen ice cream social taking place at our senior family center. I invite all of our local seniors to come and join me for an afternoon of treats, prizes, and conversation. A huge thank you to Chin Med and Supreme Roofing and Construction for sponsoring this event. I'm also pleased to announce the holiday gas giveaway scheduled for December 18th at 8 a.m. At our local Murphy Express. Come out and take advantage of this opportunity to top off your tanks as the Christmas holiday approaches. Thank you to our event sponsors called the Casino and Freedom Cash Home Buyers for supporting this great community event. As the new year approaches, please also stay tuned for information and updates on upcoming programs, events, and initiatives from our office, such as Juice It Thursday, the 2022 Miami Gardens Fitness Challenge, which is in partnership with Miami-Dade County District 1 Commissioner Vice Chairman Oliver Gilbert, a citywide town hall meeting with our state senator Chevron Jones, who would be speaking with our state representatives as well, and the Miami Gardens Internet for All initiative. And I want to just say thank you to my colleagues for supporting this initiative as we work to improve the broadband throughout our city and make internet accessible for our residents. With that being said, I wish everyone a happy holidays and a prosperous new year. That ends my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Sister Julie?
Yeah. I would like to start off by thanking the staff and everyone who participated in the 10th annual City of Miami Gardens Science Fair, and the students, teachers, principals. The Science Fair took place on Monday and Tuesday. We had the fair on Monday, we had the award ceremony on Tuesday, and I mean, it was just such a joyous, joyous day.
We had over 150 students participate from 23 Miami Gardens schools. And I mean, if you saw the projects and the level of intellect that was in the room, it was just extraordinary. And as President Armstrong spoke, because it was hosted at St. Thomas University, they're just such amazing community partners. He said, we are recruiting. This is a recruitment fair, you know? And so I want to take this moment to thank the visionary behind the science fair, former Councilman David Williams. As you all know, he has devoted his life to science and you know, just making sure that folks understand the vitality that comes from medicine and trees, and making sure that our kids understand STEM and have a great career in STEM. In addition to that, I'd like to, you know, basically say that for me, I'm happy to take on his legacy in continuing the science fair, and I plan to do so. That's one of the promises that I'd made to him. When we spoke and I said, should I get elected, I'll continue your legacy. But my vision for Miami Gardens is one where all students, children and adults through interaction will have full access to quality STEM education. And I want us to regard STEM literacy in Miami Gardens as a call to action, so that we can be globally competitive and, you know, have local economic vitality. Charting a course, striving for success, and never settling in STEM education is so vital. It's so vital. Remember, an investment in knowledge and application always, always, always yields the greatest return. So I'm very happy about the outcome of the last 2 days. I want to thank Mario and our city manager and staff for all of their help, because I would not have been able to execute this and make this what it was. And thank you to all my colleagues who attended. And that's all I have. And Merry Christmas to everyone, and have a happy and safe New Year. See you in 2022.
Councilwoman Campbell.
Okay, first of all, let me wish everyone happy holidays, happy New Year. And I want to announce two things. The first one is the car show. Super excited about that. December 18th from 10 to 1 at Betty T. Ferguson. Come on out. Your ticket in is to bring a toy for a kid 13 and under. And if you want more details, you can call 305-622-8000, extension 2834. And also I have a toy drive on December 20th, 10 to 1 at Buccaneer Park, and this is for the City of Miami Gardens residents only. Proof of residency will need to be provided. And on that note, I received a note from someone, and I'm going to read this note, and I'm going to offer my personal response to it. And it reads as this: to whom it may concern, I am a longtime resident of the north side of Dade County, which is now known as Miami Gardens. Although my neighbors and I are proud of the progress that has been made, we have a concern about some of the tactics that we and other residents from other communities have witnessed with the current leadership of the city. Councilwoman Shannon Campbell has an event on December 18th, car show. Vice Mayor Reginald Leon has an event December 18th, toy drive. Councilman Robert Stevens has an event on December 18th, gas giveaway. However, some of these events are even scheduled at the same time. It appears that the council is dividing the people. The residents is paying attention. How can the leaders we elected work as one? Concerned Miami Gardens residents. Now, my response when I read this is this. I have no problem with working with anyone up here, and they know it. If they approach, but I know it's a rule where we can't speak to one another, and I need the public to understand that. Maybe Madam Attorney can speak on it a little bit, but there is some rules that we have to follow. So we don't really know what one another is doing it and when they're doing it. So let's be clear on that. And I don't have a problem with working with anyone, and they know it. So, and then my concern is, not even necessarily a concern is, my challenge is moving forward to my colleagues up here in 2022. Let's kind of maybe do a workshop or another retreat at the beginning of the year to kind of do a master calendar so we won't bump heads and overwork the staff on the same days and events. Let's kind of tweak that. I think we do need to tweak it, but I'm not dividing nobody, and that's not what I'm about. And I want to make sure that that's on record. And Mr. Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Ms. Wessel.
Okay. I, like my colleagues, would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm just elated at this stage in the new year to know that we've been through so much, but we are rising still despite it all. And as we resume and we are on a course to, I won't say coming back to normalcy, but to moving to a new place in the way in which we do business and the way in which we conduct ourselves, I am always proud of this city and the work that we do here. The road improvements that are going on in residential seat 4 are absolutely wonderful. I am excited about the sidewalk improvements. I'm excited about the roundabouts that are speed mitigating things that are going on. I'm excited also about the cleanup that Keep Miami Gardens Beautiful is doing throughout the residential seat, and a lot more of the road improvements that we are looking forward to in Leslie Estates and on 191st and, just along that 42nd Avenue corridor. It speaks volumes about the work that is being done. I also would like to echo what my colleague here is saying. I have had the pleasure of teaming up with my colleagues on the dais and doing events. And there was one that we have coming up, which is the first HBCU high school scholastic combine that Miami Gardens and the mayor and I have teamed up on. I've worked with almost every single one. Every time we have the opportunity to do something, we knock it out of the park. I know sometimes what the residents don't know is that the vast majority of us up here have full-time jobs. And it makes it difficult for us to all get on the same schedule, but it doesn't mean that we're not on one accord. And the one thing that we will fight in the grass about, and that is about what's good for our residents. Our local schools, I'm excited also about many of the toy donations that we will do directly to the schools. We want to make sure that our kids that don't have and the schools that know them intimately can be rest assured that they will put gifts in the hands of those children that need them most. And they're not going to be random, but they will be selected based on what teachers and their school families recommend for them. And then I think, last but not least, I will comment on the Myrtle Grove issue, since it's a very hot issue. And it's a hot issue because I decided that I would bring it to the residents and let them make it hot. We want to hear what our residents have to say. And sometimes we have 5, 6, 7 people, 12 people, and they gather often because they're passionate about what they believe in. But I found out that there are 18,000 residents in residential 4. That must be heard as well. And we're going to continue to do what the 12, 14 people suggest, who often come up with brilliant ideas and ways in which we can galvanize this community. But we want to ensure that everyone's voice is heard and everyone's voice is considered before we move forward. This staff here has worked diligently to explore the options that were brought out in Meet Me Sunday. And as they are exploring them, those take time. We cannot wave a magic wand and it happens overnight. The due diligence of this city and its staff has kept this city moving forward in unprecedented ways. And I rely heavily on their professionalism and their expertise as they give us the options to make the decisions that are best and most conducive for the residents. I will continue to follow that process because that is where excellence and expectations meet hand in hand. Once again, may God bless you all, and I will see you on the other side of the new year. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Councilwoman Campbell, I agree with you and Councilwoman Wilson. Maybe we can all work together and put together a monthly calendar and try to schedule events so that we're not working over each other. At the same time, we have to understand that this isn't the same city from 2003. This city has grown tremendously, leaps and bounds. So there will be activities here in this city. And there will be sometimes where we will be stretched thin as we serve these 114,000 residents that have different needs. So we all need to make sure that we're able to adapt to what we have to do to serve the people that we said that we will serve. With that being said, when we come back in January, Miami Gardens has grown. We've expanded our boundaries now with the annexation. So again, we're not the same city that we started off on. We're continuing to grow. There are townhouses and apartments popping up all throughout this city. And we're gonna be stretched thin. We're gonna have to add more people to certain areas of this city in order to continue the process. Also, like never before, we see that Calder property in Miami Gardens is going for $291 million. Unheard of. We wouldn't even thought that would be possible 10 years ago. And with that being said, Calder Racetrack is committed to the Lake Lucerne community, and they're holding a town hall meeting on December 29th at 6 p.m. at Calder for those residents of Lake Lucerne, so they can come out and hear their plans on what they plan on building in that community and keeping that community locked up because they heard our voice that our residents matter. So Calder's taking the forefront on that. In regards to our vaccination site, we have vaccinated over 500 individuals right here on 27th Avenue. Thank you for the leadership on that, for the staff who's been able to make sure that they're there. We have tested over 5,000 residents have been tested. So moving forward, starting next Monday, vaccinations will now be at Barbara J. Jordan Community Center, which is known as Jesse Trice. The address is 20612 Northwest 27th Avenue. And that'll be from 8 to 4 p.m. for anybody that needs booster shots. So we will no longer be vaccinating here on 27th Avenue. That part of the process will be moved to the actual Jesse Trice Center. And
that include the weekends?
No, they ain't open on the weekend.
Oh, okay.
But I got some in the car if you need it.
No, shout out the car. Go ahead.
So thank you for all your efforts with that, for facilitating that. And I want to say happy holidays, Feliz Navidad, to all of our constituents, our employees, and let's take this time and enjoy our families. When we come back in 2022, like I said, we'll be in a much larger city. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. As we get ready to celebrate this Christmas and New Year's, I think this is a great time for all of us to reflect back on this last year. A year where we saw the city grow, a year where we saw a lot of different things happening, not just here in the city, but throughout this whole country. Let's take time again to get back to loving each other and to understanding each other and getting to a point where we can move not just this city, but move this country forward. This has been a tremendous year for Miami Gardens. Next year, the expectation that I have, and I'm sure all of you as staff and the administration has, is to move our city in the direction in which not only that our residents can be proud of, but this whole world can be proud of Miami Gardens. We are turning into a global city, a city in which people from all around the world know the name Miami Gardens. This isn't Myrtle Gardens anymore. This is our home. This is a place that we take pride in. And we on this dais have an obligation to and a responsibility to the 114,000 residents that we serve. And that should be our main concern. Personal gains and personal, feelings should not be a part of it. It should be something in which we concentrate and work hard at making sure that we do the job that's required by our residents. I want to take this time to thank all of our staff for the hard work, commitment, and dedication that you guys have shown throughout this entire year and over the years. And we're going to continue to work hard. We're going to continue to make sure that when we leave this place, the legacy that we leave will make Miami Gardens residents and this city proud. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and enjoy yourselves and your families. Mr. Vice Mayor?
I'm sorry, I forgot, when you guys get an opportunity, please thank Vice Chairman Oliver Gilbert for sponsoring the item for us to grow the city. He was a sponsor of us annexing, so it would not be done if he didn't stand for us. So when you get an opportunity to thank him, please do so.
And we all will do that right now because he plays a vital part in this community as well. He has been as the former mayor, and we appreciate everything he does for us and works with us as the vice chair on the TPO and all the other organizations. So we send kudos and accolades to him, and we want him to know that we love him. I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion.
Meeting adjourned. I'm gonna get him. Huh? I don't need him taking the land. What happened? I don't need him taking the land. No, unless they sue us for it.